and roll. What's going on, football fans? What's up? I'm Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy, and welcome to the Week 2 edition of Thursday Night Gridiron here on the Sports Insanity Network. I got my cast of characters here. Joining me tonight, I got Mark Old Ops Guy Halpern, and our fearless leader, the president of the Sports Insanity Network, Lawrence Patchman Lang. Gentlemen, good evening. How are we doing tonight?
Oh, we are fantastic, Bill. Workday is over. Fantasy teams are set for tonight. My pick is in already for our Pick'em League. I still got to get the game set up on Prime. Hashtag not a sponsor because we don't have sponsors right now. We got that lovely Anchor.fm that sponsors us, and that one guy I think that still gives us $1. Well, once again, got to get the game set up on Prime. Hashtag not a sponsor, but we're here to have some fun, talk a little football with the Chargers and Chiefs.
Yeah, and I actually do want to say the guy who gives us $1 is actually a friend of mine. His name is Matt Hemsley. So, Matt, if you are watching, shout out to you, my good friend.
Get your friends to sponsor us, man. Come on, we need some more sponsors here, or more listenership sponsors. Come on, we want the dollars to roll in. We want to make it rain.
Yeah, come on, we want to make it rain. So I can throw it up in the air and roll the money on the floor.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a sight you all want to see. But anyway, my friends, it is time. After a great week 1, it is time for week 2 in the NFL. And it kicks off tonight. Phil Collins, don't sue me. With Thursday Night Football with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego.
Hey, that's Mike Rifkin's thing. You might get sued for copyright.
Mike Rifkin, that was for you, buddy. There, I credited him.
There you go.
Okay, so let's recap both of their week 1, shall we? Both of them coming off big wins. Kansas City beating the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes went through 360 yards, 30 out of 39 completions, and 5 touchdowns. Got a touchdown by Isaiah Pacheco. I think that's how you say his name. 12 carries, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who got 2 touchdowns, 7 carries, 42 yards, 3 receptions. And 1 touchdown from McCall Hardman and 1 touchdown from Jordy Forston. And last week, the Chargers beat the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland. Justin Herbert throwing 26 out of 34, 279 yards and 3 touchdowns. DeAndre Carter with 3 receptions, 1 touchdown. Gerald Everett with 3 receptions, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. And Zender Havith with 2 receptions, 6 yards, and 1 touchdown. All right, so what do we think of both of these teams from last week?
I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, you know. I'm sorry, Mark. No, Mark. No. You first. You're the old wise man here, so you get to go first.
We have to respect our elders.
Yes, we do. When you look at the last week's games and you watched these 2 individuals plays, meaning Mahomes and Herbert, it only gives you a small glimpse of what the AFC West is looking like. Obviously, the Chargers beat the Raiders last week, and that wasn't a blowout. It was only a 5-point game. And we know that Russell Wilson fell to Seattle, of all teams, go figure, in his first week. Does that dictate what the AFC West is going to look like? No. The Chiefs have a chance tonight to put themselves in a nice little position at 2-0 to be up on the division. I expect 3 of the 4 teams from this individual division to make the playoffs. I would look more for tonight, a little bit leadership more by Herbert and a little bit more use of Austin Eckler. But when you're talking the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody performed on that team. So last week, hats off to Mahomes on the 5 TDs and the team coming together, and hats off to Herbert last week for being a great field general and getting the win.
Yeah, you said it right, Mark. Chiefs just look like the Chiefs. The Chiefs, first 3 possessions they had went touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. It was like, all right, no offense to Arizona and Mr. Murray. We can debate Mr. Murray a different day, but the Chiefs just came in and was like, first 3 possessions, we're taking care of business and moving on to next week and getting ready for this game. Because this game is going to probably be an exciting one on offense and defense. Looking at the Chargers look good too. They played a decent Raiders team who, Raiders are still trying to figure out because, hey, you have the best number 1 wide receiver in the league in Devontae Adams, but that's the Raiders. The Chargers, Herbert looked good. Everybody else looked good. The only downside is losing Keenan Allen, I believe, for tonight.
Hamstring, yeah.
Hamstring, he's out for tonight. So that's a bummer for the Chargers offense, but the Chargers offense should still be fine going into tonight because they have a bunch of other good players on that team who are going to make them look good tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they really have anything to worry about tonight. I really don't think they do. So that's a look at last week. Now we look into the present.
Okay.
Slash the past, because this is the first of 2 games between the Chargers and Chiefs this season. Last year they played each other twice. First time was on September 26th of 2021 when the Chargers won 30-24. Justin Herbert threw 26 out of 38 completions with 281 yards and 4 touchdowns. Mike Williams, 7 receptions, 122 yards, 17.4 average, 2 touchdowns. Austin Eckler, 6 receptions, 52 yards, 8.7 average, 1 touchdown. Keenan Allen, who the Patchman has said is out tonight, 8 receptions, 50 yards, 6.3 average, and 1 touchdown. And the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes threw for 27 out of 44 yards with 260 passing yards, 45 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 2 receptions, 9 yards, 1 touchdown. Jody Fortson, 7 yards, 1 touchdown. And the second game last year was on December 16th, 2021, when the Chiefs won the game 34-28 in overtime. Pat Mahomes threw 31 out of 47 completions, 410 yards, 8.7 average, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack. Rushing touchdown was from Michael Burton. You have Travis Kelce, who 10 yards, 191 TDs, 191 average, 2 touchdowns. 19.1 average. I'm sorry about that, folks. Really am. Tyreek Hill, 148 yards, 1 touchdown. The Chargers, 22 out of 38 completions, 236 yards, 6.2 average, 2 touchdowns for Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler, 12 carries, 59 yards, 1 touchdown. Justin Herbert, 5 carries, 16 yards, 1 touchdown. Keenan Allen, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. Jake Gullen, 10 yards, 1 touchdown. So do you think for what we saw last year, we saw 2 intense games last year between these 2 teams. Do you think we're going to get an intense game tonight?
With all the changes that both teams have made, you have to remember you're announcing stats from last year that involved Tyreek Hill, who's no longer with the Chiefs.
And we'll talk about him in a second.
He's now he's now in the warm climate in Miami.
Yeah, got a nice 4-year deal for $120 million.
Right. So you have to look at who the star receiver is going to be this year. Yes, I know we have to, they had a series last year that we're going to bring up. But if anything from last week taught us anything, It's going to be a run over game. And what I mean by that, it's going to be score, 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 score. I don't think either defense is capable of stopping either offense.
You really don't think either. So you think it's going to be a very heavy offense heavy game tonight?
42-38, yeah.
I wouldn't go that high, because you have to look at the Chiefs. They have a completely revamped wide receive core with Juju, MVS, Valdez, Scantlin, and Mecole Hardman. So they're dealing with that to, make up for the loss of Mr. Hill, who was soaking up the sun. And then also you got to look at to me, what's going to probably come down is going to be the run game, because you look at the combination of, I believe it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire and company for the run game for the for the Chiefs, and the Chargers have Austin Eckler and Sony Michel on the Chargers side. So most likely you're going to see a little bit of more of a run game tonight, because I feel that while they're going to probably both pass the ball at least 30 plus times, they're going to execute the run game more.
Yeah, I could agree with you on that. And plus, we all know this Chiefs defense can be really good, too. This Chiefs defense can be scary. So I think the Chiefs could keep this in their favor tonight. But like you said, I think this is going to be a very offensive, heavy game tonight.
It's most likely going to be like last week with Buffalo and company, where Buffalo and the Rams, it's going to start off probably good defensive 10-10, maybe we might see 13-13 at the half, and then you're just going to see all out shootout second half, and then you're going to see the score run up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because both defenses are very well, and the defenses complement each other, because if one can stop another, that motivates the team a little bit to get on offense. But then again, that's going to motivate the defense to help their offense out. So it's going to be a conundrum of defenses and offenses stepping up for one each other to complement each other, to pick each other up if things go south.
And to block each other off, basically.
Yes.
To block each other off. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a good old-fashioned gunslinging tonight, huh?
Once again, I don't expect it to be like last week, where it started off great and then Buffalo took command and blew them out of the water. It's either going to be a close game, or like it's going to be an all-out shootout, and we're going to have a 50-53 game for some reason.
That would be insane. Well, okay, there's been over 100 points scored in this game. It is 53-53.
With two hungry quarterbacks at the helm, don't be surprised if the score goes up.
I know, right? It's going to be a big one. Mark, you have anything else to say?
Not on that remark. No, it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, Mahomes and Herbert, always very fun to watch. All right, you brought up Tyreek Hill. Mark, you brought up Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Now, here's a question for you two. Do the Chiefs really miss Tyreek Hill right now?
Yes.
Yes, no.
Reason why for yes. You look at last week's game for Patrick Mahomes. Mind you, guy threw 5 touchdowns. But if you look at the reception quantity and yardage quantity of each player, it does not feel like he has a deep threat that he can just hold the ball off and catch. That should have been Juju, but after the injury last year, it has limited him for returning at full strength. So, yeah, you're missing not only the one guy who has been able to catch anything that's ever been thrown at him, but most likely one of the top 3 speedsters in football.
Yeah, because you look at Mahomes last week, he threw to 15 different people last week. He didn't really have that one person he can rely on. He threw to Watson 5 times. He threw to, I think it was Fortin 3 times, Moore 3 times, Kelsey 1 time. He threw to Franks twice, Burton once. It's like he doesn't have that number one guy that, where, Derek Carr has Devontae Adams. You can make lists go on. Diggs and Allen. Like those
Stafford
are
and
like
Cup.
yeah, Stafford and Cup. They're those people that are like they're the number one on the team, and the Chiefs don't have that anymore. Yeah, yes, you can throw Kelsey and company where Kelsey can be the number one guy to throw the ball to, but then again, he's a tight end, and you need the tight end to get open. You're not gonna put Kelsey in at wide receiver and throw it to him 30 times in a game.
Yeah. I'm gonna absolutely agree with your point, but there, Patch, that I think in a way that they missed Tyreek Hill because of that wide receiver slot. But I think the thing is, and I think you said it very well, is that now Mahomes is sort of delegating more who he's going to pass to, and he's not just throwing it to Tyreek Hill because, well, Tyreek's no longer there. He threw it to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who for 2 touchdown passes last week. You had,
which there's nothing wrong with. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I'm not done. You had Travis Kelce, who he threw to, and he set a new milestone by having his 37th game with 100 or more receiving yards.
Ooh,
and
the party
which is the most games by a tight end in NFL history. And yeah, Helaire, Kelce, and you said Burton. I really think this really shows now that Mahomes is not just hitting one guy, like Pat said. He's now delegating. Okay, I'm going to throw to Helaire. I'm going to throw to Burton. I'm going to throw to Kelce. So he's now delegating his passes more, and I think now he's delegating who he's going to throw to, and it's not just Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill. And I think that has Tyreek being gone has actually taught Mahomes saying, okay, I can't just throw it to Tyreek all the time. I need new receivers to throw it to, or running back in Clyde Edwards-Helaire case. All right, Mark, you were going to say something?
No, just what's going to say. They need Clyde Edwards-Helaire to turn in more of a player like Austin Eckler, Darian Sproles, to throw out a name, because with the fact still being the run offensive line for KC is still atrocious, they got to use him in multiple swing back situations. That's all.
Yeah. Pat, you have anything more to say on this, or? Okay, I think we've lost the Patch man.
That's okay. Patch froze out. He'll be back in a minute. We'll get him right back on.
But yeah, you make a very fair point too, because the Chiefs' offensive line, for lack of a better word, is not great.
No, it's not. So you have to look for Mahomes to be throwing the ball approximately, I would say, between 35 and 40 times tonight.
Yeah. So, okay, moving on. Okay, besides the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, Mark, Patchman will be back in a second.
Yep.
He always comes back.
Yes, he does.
So you're stuck with me for the next few minutes. Anyway, that we know that AFC West is absolutely stacked.
Mm-hmm.
On just quarterbacks alone. Kansas City, you have Mahomes. Los Angeles, you have Herbert. Denver, you have Russell Wilson. And Vegas, you have Derek Carr.
Right.
Like that division is stacked. Now, besides the Kansas City Chiefs, of the other 3 teams in the AFC West, who else could you see possibly winning that division besides the Chiefs?
To me, it would be the Chargers. Excuse me.
Okay.
The Chargers have a much more developed and experienced team next to the Chiefs. Not to take anything away from Russell Wilson in Denver, I just think if Wilson needs a little bit more time to get on full contact with Judy, Sutton, Gordon, and Javonte Williams, it's gonna take a couple of games to Denver really to get a cohesive status. As experience and possibilities wise, if the Chargers can beat KC tonight, which is very possible they could, I would look for the Chargers to run this division.
Okay, Patch. Since you were out, let me repeat the question. AFC West is super stacked. Besides the Kansas City Chiefs, of the other three teams, who can you see possibly taking this division?
It's very tough to decide that besides Chiefs because all three teams have the potential to. All four teams have potential to win this division. Let's put it this way: Kansas City most likely is going to win the division, but Chargers you can throw in there right away. You know, Austin Eckler, Sony Michel at running back are complementing each other. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Decor Carter, who had 63 receptions, 1 TD this past week, so he could be a sleeper wide receiver to help the Chargers out. Head over to Denver, you know, very young, you know, Javonte Williams in his second year. You got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Russell Wilson. Like, come on. Like, Russell Wilson has a nice young core behind the helm that can help him out. And then you throw it out to LV Las Vegas, you know, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Devontae freaking Adams, number 1 receiver in the league, you know. Granted, you know, him leaving Green Bay broke my heart, but he's still he's top tier wide.
We lost him again. I think what he's trying to say is Devontae Adams going from Green Bay to Vegas broke his heart.
Which rightfully so did. And you have to look at the work that Devontae Adams did last week. 10 for 141 and a touchdown. So it's not like he suffered from going from Green Bay to Las Vegas. He still got top targets, and he still got a hell of a lot of yards.
Agreed. And answering the question is, I would have said Denver with Jeudy and Sutton and Williams with Russell Wilson. But you know what? I'm going to be honest. After watching last week, I was a little... I don't know if I'd be 100% on Denver right now.
Why?
Because, okay, listen, I know it's one game, but the Wilson, listen, he still threw a hell of a game, but I don't know what it is. Like some of the questionable choices, like the 4th and 5th going for the field goal. I would say take your chances with Russell Wilson and just go for it. But
see, I don't disagree with you, and I disagree with you at the same time.
Hey, that's fine. This is America. You can disagree with me if you want.
You're like you said, we're in the first game, and yeah, you can't panic like other teams that have to as usual. But when you look at what Russell Wilson was able to put together, now, yeah, he was facing Seattle, just where he came from. He was going back to his old home, where yet again, I don't understand concept of people calling him a traitor, yada, yada, yada. Who cares?
Because I said this in the vlog. If you're going to boo anyone, boo your front office. They're the ones who did the trade.
Right. I mean, let's not, take it too much out of proportion on Russell Wilson. But he moved the ball around last week. There were some drop passes that should have been caught. And that also, there were some bad routes run. But that's what you're going to get with a young, inexperienced team. That's why the Chiefs and the Chargers are in a little bit better position to be able to rely more on the fact that, yes, Keenan Allen is now out with a hamstring. So that puts Mike Williams at the 1. And you're going to have a combination of people at the 2 and 3. DeAndre Carter will be 1, and we'll see. But I expect a lot out of Eckler tonight.
I'm going to do a little bit of a cop-out here, and I want to apologize to my 2 cohorts for doing this. They said, I think it's either going if I say any team who's going to be a challenge to the Chiefs in the AFC West, to me, it's going to be a toss-up between either Denver or Los Angeles.
Okay.
I think like what I was saying, I think Wilson does have good, like I said, a little inexperienced, but he has a good core with Judy and Sutton and Williams. And
It's going to take time for Wilson to build that up. Yes.
But like what we were saying, with Mike Williams and Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler, I think in Los Angeles, I think they're really going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with.
Now, since my internet crapped out for the second time today, where was I in the middle of my take? Because I would like to finish mine if my internet allows me.
You would say that Devontae Adams is still a top-tier receiver.
Okay, Devontae Adams is still a top-tier receiver, and as I was saying, the division will most likely go Raiders at the bottom, most likely, then Denver, Los Angeles, Kansas City. But then again, this division can surprise us all this year, and once again, I think anybody can win this division. If Derek Carr and Devontae Adams can get hot, watch out for the Raiders. Denver, if Russell Wilson relaxes, takes a deep breath, then takes control of Denver could win it. LA, if Herbert just goes on a tear, Herbert and company, they could win the division. And of course, we got the Red Kingdom at the top of the list, Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Well, here's one thing. If one injury occurs with a top-tier player in any team, it's wide open season in the West.
That is true.
We going gunslinging in the West maybe this year.
Wah, wah, wah.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Because if I talk anymore, my internet will probably bug out on me again.
Yeah, we don't want your internet to bug out on you, Patch. We like you on most days.
You don't like me, I don't care.
No, we love you, Patch. You know that. Okay. Injury update for this game. Keenan Allen, J.C. Jackson, and Harrison Butker are all injured. Keenan Allen with what's his injury, guys? I'm sorry.
It's his hamstring.
J.C. Jackson.
Groin, I believe groin.
I think it has something to do with the leg quad, yeah.
Leg quad, and then Butker's out with an ankle injury. Kansas City signed Matt Amendola, last year's Jets kicker, who was 13 of 19, which is a 68.4% field goal percentage in 2021 season with the Jets. So shout out to him taking over for Butker for the week, or the foreseeable future.
Do you think these injuries are going to be a huge impact on these teams tonight?
With kickers last week of kickers being cut and just missing things left and right, I think Butker being out's not going to hurt them because Matt Amendola 68% last year, like I just said about a couple seconds ago. So kicking will be fine. It's you lose a wide receiver, that means that motivates your team to do better, step up the game, and Dean Carter, most likely will get some more receptions out of LA with Allen being out tonight.
Mark, do you think these injuries are going to impact these teams in any way, shape, or form?
Like Patch pretty much said it all, and I'll just sugarcoat it a little bit. Keenan Allen, over the last 5 years, 6 years, has been probably one of the most dominant wide receivers in the game, and his ability to run impeccable routes, and he's got great hands. This actually could be a small blessing in disguise. Now, mind you, I never wish for anybody to get hurt, but this is going to give a chance for Mike Williams to prove why they gave him a 3-year extension. He's going to go out at the 1, and you have Carter at the 2. It's not a bad combination, especially if you use Eckler right. As for KC, yeah, it sucks to lose your kicker who's been relied on the last couple of years. But if you don't feel safe kicking the field goal, that's why they have the 2-point conversion.
100% agree with all those statements. Well done. Okay. Now, what do you think is the X factor for both teams? Patchman.
I mean, run game tonight. CD, Clyde Edwards-Helaire most likely going to be taking most of the helm of the run game tonight. So look out for him for Kansas City. And then I just said it. Dean Carter going to most likely get most receptions tonight, looking to step up. Like I said, last week, 63 yards receptions, had 1 touchdown. Hey, there's a glimmer of hope saying, you know what, we can get the ball to this guy if something were to happen to our other receivers. So those are my 2 X factors for both teams.
Mark.
I think Austin Eckler is going to be the key for the Chargers and controlling this game. Eckler did well out of the backfield last week, and he had, good receiving out of the backfield with a couple of touchdowns. He has to be that dominant player that he's been over the last year and a half. The Chargers have done very well with converting running backs in that type of way. Best example is LaDainian Tomlinson. I look for Austin Eckler to control the game on the Chargers side. As for the Chiefs side, I think it's time for Juju Smith-Schuster to show up and prove why he deserves a second chance and prove why he was so dominant in Pittsburgh. Not because he had Antonio Brown and he was open. He has to show that why they traded for him. And if they can't do that, it's going to leave Mahomes in a big problem with no solidified number 1 receiver.
Okay. For me, I think the X factor from the Chief perspective is going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire because, as I said earlier, he really got the ball last week. From Mahomes, he really got the touchdowns. I think, now that Mahomes knows how to delegate it, I think he's going to be giving the ball to Helaire a lot more. My X factor for the Chargers is actually going to be, this is an interesting one, Mike Williams. Because with Keenan Allen out, I think now Mike Williams is going to be the one to step up as that first receiver. I think he's going to be that one to step up. And I think Herbert's probably going to be hitting him a lot tonight. Okay. Now it is time for rapid fire / 2-minute warning. I am setting the clock for 2 minutes. Are you gentlemen ready?
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
And here we go. All right. Most impressive week 1 win. Mark.
The New York Giants over Tennessee.
Patchman.
Got to go with the Seahawks. Geno Smith stepped up big time. 23 of 28, 195 yards, 2 TDs. Rashad Penny, 12 carries, 60 yards. Yeah, had no TVs. And then Kobe Parkinson, 2 receptions, 43 yards, 1 TD. Got to give credit to the Seahawks. Spoiled Russell Wilson's return and Seattle. And how about Geno Smith just stepping up to the plate and grabbing the bull by the horns?
Always love Geno.
Yeah. At the risk of sounding like a homer, I'm going to say the Giants. If you want to hear more details, go listen to the podcast last week. But Brian Dable has guts. So I'm going to say that. All right. Most disappointing loss for week 1, Patchman.
Wasn't a loss, but I'm going to give the Colts and the Texans the tie. Come on, man. Don't tie the first week. Ryan, 32 of 50, 352 yards passing, 1 TD, 1 INT. Davis Mills, 23 of 37, 240 yards, 2 TDs. And unfortunately, the former kicker, Blankenship, Rodrigo, fortunately out of the job in Indy due to missing the potential game-winning field goal. So they get the sad face from Patchman this week for disappointing tie. Not loss, but tie.
Okay. Olaps.
Well, the most disappointing loss is not a really hard one for me to pick out. That would be my Cowboys getting destroyed and losing Dak Prescott. But I'm not going to give you any stats because there wasn't any. No stats to report on, in my opinion.
I'm actually going with the Dallas Tampa game as well because you lost your quarterback for at least 6 weeks, and we wish Dak Prescott the best. And also, interesting fact, I think, I could be wrong, but the Dallas Cowboys were the only team this past week who did not score a touchdown.
That is true.
correct.
To add to Mark's misery, I'm sorry, Mark.
As I've always said, Bill,
Yeah.
if I can dish it out, I have to accept it as well. So,
Hey, just in case, Mark,
So
if you
everybody's
want
worried about
this,
this. Well, no, Bill, I was going to bring that up. See, we face off in 2 weeks on Monday
no,
night. Football.
next, not this Monday, next Monday.
Right, 2 weeks on
That's
Monday
what he was
Night
saying,
Football.
is silly goose.
If Dallas loses to the Giants, I will make a bag of shame to wear. If the Giants lose, you must continue to wear your bag.
That's why I kept the bag.
I'm saying, I think that's a fair one, Pat.
I think it's a fair wager. I think it's a very fair wager.
Fair enough. I will allow it. Thank God
Okay.
Bill's Bill's the paper bag of shame on standby because the Giants will most likely falter in the end. So he's ready. He's already
I got the
prepared.
bag right here. Okay.
I
So-
might make one if the Packers lose to the Bears. So
If the Packers lose to the Bears, do you want the bag?
no, because I got to make my own bag to make sure there's only one eye cut out.
We'll make it out of Velveeta for you.
All
Okay.
right.
Next question. What game are you looking forward to the most besides your own team?
Maybe the Bengals and the Cowboys. I'm excited for this one, actually, because we get to see Cooper Rush go at it. And you know what? If all else fails and Cooper Rush just rushes everything and just sucks, let's give Will Greer some time. Let's give him some time at the helm. I'm excited for that because you know what? Bengals are looking to bounce back from almost having them getting the paper bag of shame of tying with the Steelers last week. Burrow looking to look better than he did last week because he had a rough last week. And then hopefully McPherson has calmed down a little bit, come back down to earth, rejuvenate himself, and get ready for this week to kick some field goals. But that's the game I'm looking forward to.
Mark?
Well, besides obviously my own home game, I'm actually looking forward to the Colts-Jaguars game.
That should be an interesting one.
How that, I don't know what happened in the universe, whether Mercury stopped spinning or whatever, how that game ended in a tie, I'll never be able to answer. But I was, even though the Jaguars weren't at their best, I was impressed on how Trevor Lawrence played. I was impressed on the combination work by Travis Etienne and Robinson at the running back. And Christian Kirk had a good day. I mean, he helped lead that team. I think the Jaguars are a team that you have to look at in the next 2 to 3 years are going to be a perennial playoff team. They are not far from it. Their defense needs a little bit more help.
Yeah, I'm going to say for my game, I'm going to say San Francisco and Seattle. I'm very interested to see what Geno Smith is going to be like continuing with Seattle, because last week the crowd was booing Russell, but they were going Geno.
Yeah, but Geno came out and played a very nice game.
No, he did great last week.
Okay, I mean, if I'm going to give a criticism about Geno Smith, is that he tends to be almost like Michael Vick in a way where he looks to scramble first before he's looking down on routes. And that has always been my issue with him. It is why you see DK Metcalf. Yeah, he caught all 6 of his targets, but for 40-something yards. So.
Yeah. Okay. So now, last but not least, gentlemen, what is your prediction for tonight's game? Mark.
The Chargers will win 42-38.
Patchman.
As to shout out to my good old friend Rich Diamond Sr. Touchdown, Los Angeles Chargers, Superchargers, 30-24.
I am going to say, give me Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs 31-28. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a real gunslinging match tonight. You got Mahomes and Herbert. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. So 31-28, Kansas City wins. All right, guys. That is our show for tonight. I'd like to thank Michael Sky Halpern, Lawrence Patchman Lang for joining me tonight. If you want to see more content, and why wouldn't you? Because this content is great. Go to www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Check out all our blogs. Check out the podcast. And where should they go to follow us on social media, Patchy?
SIN Insane for the network. Go follow us on that.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
On Twitter. Facebook, just search Sports Insanity Network.
What about the internet?
Yeah, Bill did the website plug. I don't have to do the website plug this time.
Sorry for stealing your thunder there, buddy.
Not cool, man. Not cool. That's my thing. That's my thing. I have one joy in life in plugging stuff, and that's my thing.
Okay, we'll come on. I was on a roll. We'll air this out later.
We'll air grievances later.
Okay, and for Lawrence Patchman Lang, Marco Sky Halpern, I'm Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy. Thank you for joining us tonight. Enjoy the game. We will see you next week for another exciting edition of Thursday Night Gridiron here on the Sports